I've got the top 10 must-adds in fantasy basketball coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello, sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds. I'm going to count down the top 10 must-adds in fantasy basketball this week. If you like this content, please like the video and join the 10% of people who watch this video that have subscribed to this channel. Leave a comment on a player that you think deserves to be on this list. Now, to qualify for this list, all players must be available in at least 40% of leagues. This episode is brought to you by Thrive Fantasy Sports. Use the promo code BEATTHEODDS to double your first deposit up to $250. And first-time users get a free square, like on Friday. If you bet on Luka Doncic scoring 1 point in his matchup against the Utah Jazz, then you win. Now let's dive right into number 10. We have Amen Thompson, 19% owned. So far for the season, 17 minutes per game, 6.3 points, 2.8 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 0.5 threes, 0.5 steals, 0.3 blocks, 1.5 turnovers on 41% shooting from the field and 63% from the line. Now he's back. Thompson is expected to be in the lineup on Monday. His inclusion on this list is really just a subtle reminder to not forget about the talented rookie. He's not likely to dazzle out of the gate. You're going to need to be patient with him as he works his way back into form. But his upside is tantalizing, as evidenced by his 29 points, 16 rebound, 11 assists, 3 steals, and 2 block line that he put up in the G League this past Wednesday. It may not be a bad idea to get out in front of the rush and pick up Thompson before he goes off. Let's go to number 9. We got Dante Exum, 11% owned, 25 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks, 13.3 points, 4.3 rebounds, 5.7 assists, 1.3 threes, 1 steal, no blocks, 1 turnover on 50% shooting from the field and 67% from the line. He has been a revelation for Dallas in recent games, and it looks like they'll be leaning on more of him with Josh Green out for a few weeks and Kyrie Irving injuring his right foot in the last game. I doubt that Exum will put up 15 shots per game like he did on Friday, but I think he's got a shot for a 12.5 rebound, 5 assist line for the foreseeable future. With the back-to-back starting on Monday, Exum looks like a great short-term add. Let's go to number 8. We got Naz Reid, 54% owned, 22 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks. 12.6 points, 4.5 rebounds, 0.8 assists, 1.6 threes, 0.7 steals, 0.6 blocks, 1.1 turnovers on 50% shooting from the field and 91% from the line. He's not going to get any more minutes, but he doesn't really need a whole lot of them to contribute on this team. Reid is a microwave scorer off the bench, and he's an absolute must-add if either Cat or Gobert miss time. His free throw percentage shouldn't be overlooked, as it creates a nice floor for points if he can keep his percentage over 80%. Reid is starting to collect more rebounds and blocks, which were both missing at the start of the season. Let's go to number 7. We have Saddiq Bey, 56% owned over the last 2 weeks. He's got 35 minutes played, 14.7 points, 6.7 rebounds, 1.2 assists, 2.7 threes, 1 steal, no blocks, 0.7 turnovers, on 49% shooting from the field and 91% from the line. There's not too much more that can be said about Bey that I haven't yet discussed. He's a great source of points, rebounds, threes on good percentages that you can still find hovering on some waiver wires. Picking up either Bey or DeAndre Hunter makes a lot of sense as long as Jalen Johnson remains out of the lineup. Now, although they present almost identical counting stats, I prefer Bey over Hunter based on his percentages. To number 6 we go. We got Derek Lively II, 59% owned, 28 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks, 10.4 points, 7.8 rebounds, 1.2 assists, no threes, 0.8 steals, 3 blocks, 1.2 turnovers on 83% shooting from the field and 40% from the line. Now, if you missed Lively's 2016 and 7 block game last Saturday, then let me give you Exhibit A as to why he shouldn't be available in any league right now. That game was against OKC, which is a solid defensive squad. Dallas has settled on Lively being the center of the future for them, and we're starting to see his minutes continue to climb. I mentioned earlier in the year that Lively's path seems to mirror that of Walker Kessler from last season, and we're starting to see that happen. Get him now if you can. At number 5, we have Emmanuel Quickley, 58% owned, 23 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks, 13.3 points, 1.3 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 2.2 threes, 0.3 steals, 0.2 blocks, 0.7 turnovers on 36% shooting from the field and 91% from the line. Now, Quickley is another primary scorer off the bench whose value hinges on how efficient he shoots. He hasn't really shot all that well over the last couple of weeks, but he certainly doesn't shy away from putting up shots. He shot almost 45% from the field last season, so I would imagine that he returns to that level over the long run this year. He should be a great source of points, threes, and free throw percentage over the course of the rest of the season. Let's go to number 4. We have Derek Jones Jr., 18% owned over the last 2 weeks. He had 32 minutes per game, 16.2 points, 5.2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2.8 threes, 1.2 steals, 1 block, 1 turnover on 55% shooting from the field and 75% from the line. Jones' last 5 games has a bit of everything. He had 4 of those games over 30 minutes, 6 3-pointers in one game, and he had 8 rebounds and 4 stocks in another. Fantasy managers love players that can offer everything, and Derrick Jones Jr. is doing just that, plus he's scoring at a pretty efficient rate. Now, Josh Green is still out for at least a week, giving Jones the runway to produce for the near future. He's a savvy ad that should prove beneficial here this week. To number 3 we go. We have Patrick Williams, 44% owned over the last 2 weeks. He's got 32 minutes per game, 14.7 points, 5.3 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 1.5 threes, 1.3 steals, 1.3 blocks, 1.3 turnovers on 59% shooting from the field and 40% from the line. P. Will has shown the ability to be an impact player on both ends of the floor in the past, and likely, due to the absence of Zach LaVine, he's going to be stepping up here once again. Williams has at least a steal and a block in 5 straight games, and outside of some poor free throw shooting and low assist totals, he's been a positive in practically every other category. Williams will likely continue to get his minutes as the team has won 4 in a row. Let's go to number 2. We have Caleb Martin, 29% owned, 30 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks, 17 points, 5.2 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 2.2 threes, 0.6 steals, 0.6 blocks, 1.6 turnovers, 52% shooting from the field, and 50% from the line. This Heat team is extremely deep, and they've had to rely on that depth to address the slew of injuries that they have been faced with so far this season. Martin has stepped up and been a major contributor over the last few games for the team. He's picked up 4 threes and 12 rebounds in a victory over Toronto on Wednesday. Expect the Heat to be calling on Martin's number until the team is fully whole. And finally, at number 1, we have Brandon Miller, 57% owned over the last 2 weeks. He's got 36 minutes per game, 16.8 points, 4.8 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 3 threes, 0.6 steals, 1 block, 2.6 turnovers on 42% shooting from the field and 90% from the line. Miller is deserving of every minute that comes his way, and lately there have been lots. He has collected a total of 5 blocks over the last 3 games, and if he can keep this up, he should be a lock to return top 100 value for the season. Miller should set in with at least 30 minutes per game, I would imagine, over the course of the year, which he has achieved in each of the last 8 games that he's played. This will likely be the last call for him, so please act accordingly. And that's going to do it here for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video and, of course, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We are going to be signing off for now, but we're going to catch you guys on our next episode.